Sue Ellam from Soulfully Connecting, and today it's my pleasure to interview Robyn Harris of Equenergy. Now, Robyn is a healer of both animals and people, and I'll let her tell you all about her business. So Robyn, it's over to you. Who are you? Who is Robyn Harris?
Well, first of all, Sue, I'd just like to say thank you very much for inviting me to take part in this interview and giving me the chance to talk about my work and about my passion. So I'm just a massive lover of animals and of nature, and that's why I have got involved with this healing work with animals and with people as well, and the connection between the two, because I believe that everything is energy and vibration, and I'm just fascinated by the whole idea of wellness and what that really means, and how it can be different things to different people at different times, and just exploring that and how our connection with nature helps to really boost our well-being and give us that balance that we need to be fully well.
Yeah, it's very important, and healing is, more people are starting to realize that they've really got to heal themselves as well as with kind of some professional advice, obviously, because a lot of people wouldn't know where to start. But it is a kind of it's so important these days, isn't it? It seems to be more important now than it ever was.
Absolutely, yes. I think we're really beginning to realize that we have to take responsibility for our own well-being and for just supporting the body. You're right, it does know how to heal itself, but sometimes we get stuck in certain patterns of behavior, or energy is blocked in some way, and we need something just to help those functions and processes that we have in our body, just to get them a kick start, so that the body then can go through the process of healing itself and re-establishing that balance and well-being.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know that people, they try and do it themselves, and some cases, if they've got enough knowledge, it does work. But there are people who will do meditation, for instance, and they will go through the different layers of their emotions, and they'll get their advice, but then, or they'll get their kind of spiritual advice, as it were. But then something will trigger them, and it's like they haven't gone deep enough, and they haven't cleared that extra layer. So whatever their issue is, whether it be relationships, whether it be money, whatever it is, because they haven't gone deep enough, because when, we as people, we tend to try and avoid pain, so we'll kind of we'll stop at that pain threshold and say, okay, we've cleared that, but then something will come up and it will push a button, and then all hell breaks loose because we haven't gone deep enough. Do you find?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that's where the healing comes in, or having somebody to support you and to help you when you get that block, to find a way through. And for me, where I work with animals is because I think they have so much wisdom that we've kind of lost touch with, because in our world today we focus so much on technology. We're stuck in our tablets and our phones and our computers, or we're just on such a rush and a treadmill all of the time that we've lost touch with nature around us, with the stillness around and inside of us. And I think that animals haven't lost that, and they can still share it with us. And they are, particularly horses, for me, my passion is horses, and they particularly are such mirrors for whatever's going on within us, both energetically and emotionally. And I think if you can use that to really explore what's going on for the animal and for yourself as the owner as well. So that's where I come in to help people through that, to explore those issues and what the animal, particularly the horse, is saying, what they're showing, and how that can help to go through that journey to well-being for both the animal and the person.
Do you find that different animals respond in different ways, or is it an innate intelligence they have generally?
I think there are different categories maybe of animals. Like horses are herd prey animals, so they view the world from that perspective, and so they're very into connection and awareness, and they're very energetically sensitive. And another animal, say like a dog, is a carnivore, it's a hunter by nature, and so it views the world very differently from a prey animal would do. They still can mirror us, but perhaps in slightly different ways, and their ways of expressing things are very different. And so you need to learn how to read that body language, and that's something that I do because I'm fascinated by non-verbal communication anyway. Having worked as a sign language interpreter, it's a big thing for me to read those non-verbal cues and to then translate them and interpret them and find meaning behind them.
So how did you get onto this particular path? What was your motivation?
I've always had a fascination with just nature and how it all fits together, and how each individual, be that an animal or a person or even groups of animals, have a role to play and a piece in that whole big jigsaw puzzle, and just how that all comes together and how we fit together and work together and have to find balance together. And because of my own situation as well, having had health issues in the past, and that causing me to kind of look within and explore, well, what is well-being? It's more than just not being ill. There's more to it than that. And it's led me to look at nutrition and energy and how the body can heal itself and how you can get through those blocks and those issues. So all of that has come together for me in this.
It's amazing, isn't it, how each of us get pushed into a certain direction, and though it just becomes a natural way to go, doesn't it? It's you know, we all have our different ways, but we've all got we've got the same destination, but there's so many different roads to that destination.
Absolutely. I think that each one of us is an individual, and so we all have our own sort of story to tell and our own journey along that path to whatever is well-being and balance and right for us as an individual. And it's the same for the animals, and that's just what I'm here to work with and explore and support people in finding that journey for themselves and their animal.
Yeah. So how do people find, I mean, what kind of people do you work with? Do you work with pet owners, or do you work within farms? What kind of venues do you have?
As I said, my passion is horses. Generally, I work with people who are having some issues with their horse. Those might be behavioural, stress, or health issues. And so I'd go out and do a consultation to find out what the issues are with the horse, what the environment is that the horse is living in, what the relationship is between the horse and their owner, carer, or rider, and look at where things maybe aren't working as well as they could and how those can be changed. It may even just take small changes just to redress that balance and allow that well-being to come out.
Yeah. Now, the reason I mentioned farms is I know you mentioned horses, but there's so many videos coming up where you see such intelligence with the cows and the pigs and things. I didn't know if anyone had actually approached you to go and do some healing on their cow or something.
As yet, I haven't worked with farm animals. No, just horses and the smaller animals, so cats, dogs. I've got a fascination with reptiles as well. I've worked with a couple of lizards, rabbits, guinea pigs,
Yeah.
so that sort of thing,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah.
farm animals as yet.
Oh, well, any farmers out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I just love, as I say, all animals. I'm happy. I don't mind what size they are, what species they are. I'm happy to work with anything.
Yeah, sounds great. Okay, so with the work you do, what are the challenges that you face with the work you do?
Well, really, the challenges with the horses, particularly, is the fact that you're coming against the whole momentum of how people have always looked at the training of horses, the keeping of horses. And there's a saying that just we've always done it this way. And I find that's the most difficult thing, really. It's challenging thought patterns and beliefs that have been held for so long that maybe aren't working as well as they could do, but just because it's the way it's always been done, people don't even see that there could be an alternative.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not familiar with horses. It's not my area, but I have seen various videos and stuff like that of people. I mean, there was one, this horse was, I don't know if it was dressage or something like that, but there was a lady, she was deaf and mute, and she was riding this horse bareback, and it was incredible. And she'd only worked with it for a couple of weeks, but there was this kind of respect. There wasn't this domination of the horse. It was like they worked together. It was quite incredible to watch.
I think I've seen the video that you mean.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about, because a lot of the ways that we keep our horses and train our horses have come actually from the military, because that was how it was during the war. They thought it's a better way, you know, you have more power if you're riding a horse, you can move faster, you can go in there amongst infantry who are much lower down than you, etc. So they wanted to get as many people as they could on horseback as quickly as possible. Yeah. So they just got bodies and got horses and put the two together, and they didn't look at the fact that a horse is a sentient being. It's a prey animal who, when it's attacked, is normally attacked by a big cat or something like that, jumping onto its back. So that's very frightening for a horse, to have somebody sitting on its back. And so they just used a lot of sort of forcing techniques to quickly get riders on horses' backs. And we haven't really changed from that. We haven't, there are pockets of this now, the change is coming. But the way, the traditional way has just been get bodies on horses and don't look at the way the horse is feeling, what its needs are, or the person. If the person is nervous, what's that doing to the whole connection and interaction as well? But I think with that deaf rider, possibly because of missing one sense, not being able to hear, she connects in a different way. And I am an interpreter with deaf people as well, so I know that they can be very grounded, and they have a very tactile sense of connection, which probably works very well with horses. They can really, a deaf person would really feel every movement of the horse and any change in tension within that horse, and be able to communicate back in the same sort of way. So I think that's maybe why that particular rider has such a connection.
Yeah, it's I think it's fascinating. And I watched, I think it was Shania Twain as well. She did a concert, and she had a horse, and this horse followed her around like a puppy. It loved her, you know, there was just this, again, this connection as well. But I think you're quite right. When people don't have one sense, and again, she'd worked with, I think she'd been around horses all her life. When people don't have one sense, it does heighten other senses.
And also there's James French, who does a particular technique called the trust technique. And if you can do that, you get a really strong bond with the animal. And what horses are looking for, it isn't a dominant person or horse in a herd. What they're looking for is a sense of assurance and safety and trust. So when they find that in a person, they're going to look to that person to keep them safe. They're going to follow them around, and they're going to have a really deep connection. And that's why that sort of work with a horse really works well.
Yeah, and it's much more of value to the rider as well. I mean, you always hear about horses being broken or breaking in a horse, and it just sounds so violent. And I think there's just the horse or any animal, if you love it and it trusts you, you get so much more from that relationship.
Definitely. When that horse knows that you're listening and responding, the relationship comes to a whole different level.
Yeah, amazing. So what, I mean, I can kind of sense a lot of it, but what are the particular joys you get from the work that you do?
To see a horse that maybe has been nervous or anxious, or even when a horse is feeling nervous and anxious, it can be sometimes aggressive, you know, when you have that fear aggression. And to see that turn around and for a whole new connection to be established between the horse and the rider, and or the owner, and for them as well, that they suddenly have a whole new understanding of active, and so they can communicate to their horse in the way that the horse will understand, and the horse then responding to that, and just to see that whole communication and relationship and well-being flourish within the two.
Yeah, it must be something really special.
It is. It's like a flower blossoming. You can really see it come to life, a whole new energy to it.
That's fantastic. So do you work mainly, I know you're in the Bristol area, do you work mainly around that area, or do you travel to places, or can you do online stuff with people? I mean, it's unlikely, isn't it, with you need connection with the horse itself or the animal?
Well, I can do distant healing. I like to start off by meeting the horse and person face to face and finding out a little bit more, like I said, not just about the horse and the person themselves, but the environment and all that's going on. So that's a nice way to start. But I can do distant healing if the person is very far away, or there are other issues which make face to face meeting a little bit of a challenge. I'm happy to travel. As you're right, I'm based in Bristol, and most of my work so far has been here, but I am happy to travel. But I also offer web workshops, which can be run as a webinar on ways of seeing the world from your horse's perspective, what the horse needs, and how you can just even make small changes to help them to feel more settled, and therefore to go more smoothly as well.
Yeah. So how would people contact you?
Well, you can see my website, which is equenergy.com, EQUENERGY.com, and there's a contact form on there. Or you can email me at robyn@equenergy.com, and that's ROBYN@equenergy.com. And I've got a mobile number as well with an answer machine, which is 07980669303, and I'm happy for any of those methods of contact.
Fantastic. Robyn, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. And I've really, I've learned a few things as well, which is, for me, always a benefit.
Well, just as a last thing, just to say
yeah.
thank you to everybody who's watching this. I have a freebie to give away, which is a list I've written of my 5 things that you can do to deepen your connection with your horse, is how I've structured it, but it really is transferable to any animal. And if anybody is interested in having that, if they would just get in touch with me through my website or the phone number or my email. So there is an offer for a half hour's free consultation with me.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. If you send me that link, then I can also put it with the interview and put it onto the Soulfully Connecting website.
I will do.
Okay. Robyn, as I said, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. And thank you very much for sparing the time. And so anybody with a horse or any animal, I'm sure Robyn would be more than welcome, more than willing, sorry, to help if that animal has a few issues.
Definitely, I'm very happy to explore anything, if there's any way that I can support people with that connection.
Great, thank you, Robyn. So this is Sue Ellam from Soulfully Connecting, and I wish you all a very, very pleasant week, or even year. So Happy New Year to everybody. Okay, bye for now.
Bye-bye.